here. It's
Yes.
like it wants to go straight here and then I just get curl here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, curl shampoo.
Yep.
What do you use?
I think it's Not Your Mother's.
So we might get more than we thought.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to call this meeting of the East Franklinton Review Board to order. First item, swear in staff. Right hand, you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
All right. Call roll, please.
Ready? Mr. Fergus?
Here.
Mr. White? Here. Mr. Bush?
Here.
Ms. Schmidt?
Here.
Ms. Benner?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney? Here. Ms. Hamilton?
Here.
And the full commission this evening.
All right. Okay, everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Ms. Hamilton,
Second.
second by Mr. Way.
Mr. Fergus?
Approved.
Mr. Way? Approve. Mr. Bush?
Approved.
Ms. Schmidt?
Approve.
Ms. Benner?
Approve.
Mr. Sweeney? Approve. Ms. Hamilton?
Approve.
Thank you.
Moving on, new applications. First application is EF 2402-001. Address is 492 to 504 West Town Street. The owner is D&F Rental Properties LLC, and the applicant is O'Brien Companies. Staff report, please.
Yes. Okay. This is a for-action application. New construction, the existing site, 492 to 500 West Town, in 504 West Town. So originally, it was my understanding that they were also going for the 493, 497, and the 503 site as well, but it's just four single family homes. The last four will be saved for another application. For those two homes, currently existing three-story single-family homes. I said currently existing with psychology on each parcel, and a 19-foot by 20-foot two-story garage located in the rear. On the 504 West Town side is one three-story single-family home with the same dimension garage located in the rear. No modifications to development standards have been identified at this time. The proposal is generally consistent with recommendations of the East Franklinton Creative Community District Plan. Recommended density for this location is between 16 and 44 dwelling units per acre. The proposal as presented sits at roughly 10 dwelling units per acre for each parcel. However, due to the size restraints of the parcel, staff does not condition support on this application. Additionally, the plan encourages the use of pervious surfaces for surface parking to minimize stormwater runoff and increase infiltration. To this point, staff encourages the applicant to consider the use of pervious material on the driveways of the proposed single-family homes. Overall, staff is supportive of the proposal and recommends approval of the application as submitted.
Thank you. Any questions from staff?
I have a quick question. Believe maybe I need to recuse myself, and the reason is proximity. Noah, maybe you can remind us the policy regarding how proximate somebody is when they need to recuse themselves.
Yes, I believe it's 250.
So the piece of property, the closest to the piece of property in question is within 200 feet of the owner, and we are one of the owners. We should recuse ourselves.
We would recommend that, yes. Ultimately, it is up to you whether you do or not, but we would recommend yes.
Recommended.
Yes.
My only discussion point as an attorney would be that when way we look at the world is that when in doubt, recuse yourself.
All right. Well, my next question is generally, and this is probably for Bill, in the past, we've recused ourselves, we've left the room.
Yes.
I'm curious why. I mean, I recuse myself, I would prefer to sit and watch the presentation.
I'll leave that answer actually to staff.
It's just sort of I guess a planning division safety net, if you will. We prefer that. And again, it's up to you whether you do or not. It's totally up to the board or the commission whether they, but our recommendation would be to leave the room and not really be privy to any of the conversations. Well,
Aren't we, is this proceeding broadcast live?
yes,
So I could sit out there and watch it on my phone?
yes.
Or I
I
could
think some of it could be like, if you were to give a facial expression that might influence someone on the group.
It's an APA ethics issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And it's exactly what you just said. It's like, it's giving signs that you're supporting something or not, or
signaling kind of.
signaling, yeah, with your eyes.
I do have an expressive. face. Okay, well, I guess I'll go sit in the hall for this one.
Okay.
And the one after it.
One after. If I'm being honest, probably all of them.
Well, as I understand, there are two cases, one at whatever town street and one on Walnut Street, yes?
Well, we have a total of 5 today, but the first 2 are in the same general vicinity within a block of each other. The last 3 are all on Walnut Street within a span of a few houses of each other.
Okay. I guess I'll sit in the hall. Is there anything on the agenda after these?
Have a good afternoon, Jim.
I stopped what I was doing to come.
Excellent question. I appreciate that. We get a good meeting.
All right, I guess I'll decide if I'm gonna leave or stay in the hall. You have a ride home? Okay.
Much appreciated. Thank you. For making that happen.
Hi, Jim.
We should recognize the children.
It's good.
Yes,
Okay,
See you.
it's possible.
let the record reflect that Mr. Sweet has introduced himself for the afternoon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? If not, applicant, state your name for record, please.
Tom O'Brien.
And do you swear from the statements you're about to give be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Floor is yours.
So I believe we've been before this board a few times for conceptual review. So our goal with this application was to take all of the comments that we received from the board and incorporate them into this application and hopefully move forward with approval. That's all I have.
The questions for the applicant?
On homes 2 through 4. Just out of curiosity, it looks like the driveway and the apron is only 1.5 feet. Is that right?
So,
Did you just, were you able to calculate the 20-foot turn radius to make sure that you have that?
Yeah, we do.
You do, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there weren't
Variances.
any variances related to this application.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have. So you don't by any chance have any material board or something which other materials, colors and all that stuff?
We don't. No one was, anything submitted, a material board, a digital material board was submitted. Is that correct?
Not a material board. All the materials were listed on the elevations.
Got it.
Let's see.
So could we just review the
Yes.
materials that copy and color and so on, clear, that I understand again? So siding is anonymous. That's a color. Is that right?
Yes.
What color is anonymous?
I'm not sure exactly.
It's anonymous.
Yeah. Apologize.
It is what it says it is, I guess.
Yeah, it's, and there's no renderings to, so I'm just seeing black and white drawings, so it's hard to understand the color palette. I mean, the trim is white. That's easy to figure out.
Sure.
The door is black, that's easy to figure out. I don't know what the synopsis is.
I can look it up. Sorry, our architect wasn't able to make it today. Looks like a neutral tan color with gray-green undertones.
Is it, what's the, do you know the manufacturer?
Sherwin-Williams, 7046.
Looks like a dark gray.
A shade of gray.
I like it. That's what it is. It was called.
I in our gray family, right?
I had one other question, which maybe you'll know one. If there's a requirement for any street crews here, looks like there's one system, is that right?
I believe there are two.
The air photo shows one, it just shows one, so I just wondered if there was a requirement.
No, but that would be requested. We'd have to reach out to the forester.
That would be in the city.
In the right of way?
Yeah,
We're happy to provide it if you'd like.
and I assume, well, again, we usually defer to the city forester of species and all stuff.
That's fine
What
with
do you
us.
think should fit in?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Motion
Motion to approve.
as submitted.
One with the condition of checking with the forester about street tree.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the application with the condition that, that the
The applicant,
applicant consult with the
city forester.
city forester regarding street trees. Okay. Approve.
Mr. Wayne. Approve. Mr. Bush.
Approve.
Schmidt.
Approve.
Spinner.
Approve. Approve.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay seated. Next application is EF 2402002, addresses 538 to 542 and 550 West Town Street. Owner is DNF Rental Properties LLC. The applicant is O'Brien Companies. Staff report, please.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting for action review for a 3-story, 4-unit townhome and 1 single-family home within the Arts and Innovation Subdistrict. The project would require a lot combination. The current proposal includes the following. At 538 to 542 West Town Street site, it's a 4-unit townhome, surface parking, 5 spaces, garages that face, or that they have actually changed that to where they face inward now, and the main doors front West Chapel. Driveway that enters from the other side of the service lot. Lot combination of 2 parcels and the single family home will replace the existing gravel lot that's there. Since the October meeting, the applicant has revised their application to reflect the change in building materials for both the townhomes, as well as the single family home. The single family home now features lift base block above the foundation, a primarily brick facade, and 8-foot deep front porch. The townhomes now feature a first floor brick facade, and this is vinyl. Thank you for correcting. Is now party board, second and third floors. The proposal is generally consistent with the recommendations of East Franklinton Creative Community District Plan. The recommended density for this location is between 16 and 44 dwelling units per acre. Proposal as presented is consistent with this recommendation. The plan also recommends that primary facade for single and 2-family buildings must abut a city street. Staff note that the applicant has revised their application to front West Chapel and has additionally included an extension of the existing sidewalk. Overall, staff is supportive of the proposal as height and massing as shown are appropriate for the surrounding neighborhood. No recommended conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? If not, Applicant is, continues to be under oath, and floor is yours.
Sure. Yes, same with this application. We took the feedback to change the garages to face interior. We generally, I believe, left the elevations the same, added the windows that were asked for along Chapel Street where the garages were in our previous conceptual application. And yeah, that's all I have. As I mentioned, the new units will have garages and the surface parking will service the existing 4-family and the existing single family.
Questions for the applicant?
So I can't, for some reason, my technology is still here. I can't pull up so on the elevation, you've got the horizontal and the vertical. And can you zoom into, so I assume that obviously the brick is on the base. Is all of that? So where's the anonymous? I see anonymous. It says siding anonymous.
The hardy, yes.
But what's the vertical?
Uh,
I assume the hardy is horizontal.
I believe they're both hardy. The vertical is hardy as well, just the board bat style.
Like, so there's a horizontal hardy and the vertical hardy. Are they both the same color?
I think it says trim and I'm guessing board and bat, shoji white.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's okay. Again, just trying to clarify.
Sure.
I was thinking trim was everything,
Right.
but the B&B is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so anonymous white picture, and the brick color is
Belden Bellcrest.
for all of that. I assume is that just the type of brick or is that, oh, it's a buff. No, that's the word.
It's a color. It looks like a dark red.
So it's gray and white. It's basically the color palette. Not red, but bright red. It's brown.
Neutral.
Okay.
You have questions?
Same question about the street trees. Scroll to the site. There aren't trees there now, right? Because that's not considered. Is that the narratives that wasn't technically considered a street? Or,
Oh, on Chapel.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no trees there.
and no requirement because it's not technically correct.
Correct.
Can you go to the site plan? Is there a, let's move it.
Yes.
So would you be adverse to some street trees out in front?
Yeah. We have a fire hydrant out there. There's a couple manholes and things like that. So we'd have to coordinate with the locations of those, but we'd be happy to put some trees up there.
I think the whole goal of like reorienting that, so it
To
faces.
activate, yeah.
You want to feel like it's facing the street, so if we could start thinking of that as a street and street trees.
Sure.
It's all just, is it just lawn from curb to the?
I believe we're adding a sidewalk.
Oh, there will be a sidewalk, yes. And then the show up. So when you say sidewalk, you mean the connectors to the building or along the street?
It's, I feel like the right of way is quite a bit of right of way there. I think the sidewalks might be on our property as close as it can get out of the way of those utilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's so undefined right now, it's hard to understand what's legally what, right?
Right.
So there will be a sidewalk that runs along the street, as well as the perpendicular sidewalks that access the doors to the building. So it doesn't show that.
No, it looks like we have walkways out to the right of way and then a sidewalk that connects the front doors to the houses.
And are you being required to put a curb in along street, I don't think there's a curve there now.
We went through preliminary site plan compliance and that was not requested.
Are they concerned at all about drainage? Like, where's the water going?
No. There's a storm catch basin right there.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Right where Chapel begins to curve.
Okay, so that's, so generally, the site is draining that way, so it's.
Right, well, we'll have to do stormwater management within the site.
No, I was concerned, not knowing any of the details of whether if water hits the street, where's it going? It's gonna run into the front of the building, or
Oh,
is it be contained in the street with a curb and gutter and all that stuff, but.
yeah, that doesn't seem to be a concern of our engineers. I think
But the city would usually require something like that, that's what I'm just wondering. And you've been to the one-stop shop,
correct.
they haven't said anything.
They have not said anything about that.
I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to request, pervious material.
On the,
Yes. Specifically because we really won't know until we get that final, if there's a change.
so your notes say that that hasn't been decided yet, you're recommending. Right now, it isn't specified what that material is,
Correct.
but that will. So what is the board approve? Are we approving, are we going with, I guess we could say we're going with your comment and then it should approve this.
I mean, if that's what you agree with.
Yes.
Yes.
The sidewalk, I don't. Again, I think though the street trees would be a nice addition, just from a scale standpoint to make it feel like a street.
Sure, we're happy to add those.
So, and I'm sure the forester will tell you, is it 3 or whatever?
Yeah.
And what type of tree?
That'd be fun.
Good.
And that's along Chapel, correct?
Yeah.
I would say the same over on the,
Yeah, just gonna say, is there one on the other side?
Looks like there's one existing from the Google Earth.
Yeah, there's just one
We're happy to fill it in if,
here.
There's, I mean, that little space right in front of it looks like it's like what it used to be an old pull-in, you know what I mean, like a driveway, so like,
Are you changing that at all?
we're abandoning that curb cut, so I would assume there'll be some work to,
so that'll probably give you enough space to add maybe another one or something there.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure we'll be required to fill that in with green space and close that curb.
That would be nice. I can't speak for the city. What they're gonna require, it's in the public right away, so it would have to be.
I mean, I don't think we'd want to leave the house, a brand new house there with an existing curb cut that
Would you-
somebody might mistake it.
But start with some innovation, I mean, you could put them into a driveway right under it, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, another tree is probably. And then they continue that streetscape. Other than that, thanks for doing the whole flip. That's been, I think
Oh,
that's
sure,
great improvement.
sure.
Other questions for the applicant? Tim, you want to put a motion on the table?
Motion to approve with the addition of a street tree on Town Street and a number of street trees defined by the city of Forester, Chapel Street. Working with the city to consider whether a sidewalk is required and that the driveway be of a pervious material. Did I get everything?
Sounds right, sounds right. You have a second?
May I ask for clarification on the driveway? What portion, what defines the driveway, or is it the entire blacktop area needs to be a pervious material?
Yeah, yes. That we technically, that's the way it would work, right? So the only part of it is that you can break that awkward. Without, again, without having. There isn't a grading plan. Yeah, so we don't really know what the grading is, we don't know how that works, so like
Do you want to say driving and parking areas?
the driveway and parking.
There's-
So what would that look like a brick?
There's other pervious materials, impervious materials. I'm sure the city has standards for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't believe
You started it.
a specific list. But no, we would be able to work with you in that.
So there are products that are actually asphalt products that are pervious.
Okay,
It could be concrete, it could be brick, it could be, it could be unit paper, but there's all sorts of systems out there that create that pervious, system. So.
okay,
Again, there's an array of them. There's probably ones I can even remember, so.
okay, fine, great. Thank you.
Wait a second.
I'll second.
Seconded to the application as with conditions as stated,
Mr. Fergus,
approved.
Mr. May,
Approve.
Mr. Bush,
Approved.
Mr. Schmidt,
Approve.
Ms. Benner,
Approve.
Sam.
Approve.
Thank you very much. Motion passes.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next application is EF 2402-003. Address is 535 to 536 West Walnut Street. Owner is Walnut Street Franklinton Partners, and the applicant is Blake Compton. Staff report, please.
This application is for action. Project classifications, change of use, and lot combination. So three single-family lots on Weston Walnut Street, adjacent to the industrial storage lot, which is to the west. Proposed description comprised of three existing single-family homes on three parcels. 532 West Walnut are owned by Walnut Street Franklinton Partners. 536 West Walnut is owned by the city of Columbus and under contract property purchase agreement with Walnut Street Partners. To the east is an existing equipment storage lot. To the west is an existing single family home. The project proposes a lot combination of three parcels and change of use. Additionally, the project proposes exterior alterations to the facades of the existing homes. These alterations include siding, roofing, windows, doors, new accessible path and entries, new porches on 530 and 532. West Walnut, rear patio deck space, new additions that connect the structures, and new fencing. All of the design elements are on the next application as conceptual. The application is generally consistent with recommendations of East Franklin District Creative Community Plan. Plan permits the proposed uses in this location and recommends that historic and other contributing buildings be preserved to the extent possible. Recommends approval without conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I do have a question for you. This same address has a lot of the same parameters for their conceptual review.
Yes.
Change of use.
So the change of use is the
Yes.
conceptual?
No. The design is the conceptual.
Gotcha.
For action, what they would like you to vote on this evening is the lot combination and the change of use on that.
Okay, it's perfect. I just want to make sure I was tracking. It's a little bit there.
Good question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? If not, Mr. Compton, state your name for record, please.
My name's Blake Compton.
And you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Okay, floor is yours.
So thank you. Well, Ms. Schmidt, I'd like to clarify for you why we have two applications. And before I do that, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to invite Susan Keeney to talk for representing the landmarks, which is who we've been working with to acquire 536.
Well, up, be sworn in. State your name, please.
Susan Keeney?
And you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do. Want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this is a little unusual. I'm Susan Keeney, the Preservation Director of Columbus Landmarks, and I thought, we thought it might be helpful for me to introduce our organization and to tell you how we got involved with this. We typically don't do construction projects. So we actually got involved with this. Columbus Landmarks tries to, of course, we save old buildings. We're big on that. And this particular property, the vacant building at 536, became aware of it, and we actually started cooperating and partnering with the land bank to try to preserve the property and stabilize it. And we went through a lot of investigation. We had an engineer's report, and we did an assessment ourselves. We actually walked through different scenarios, and with the land bank, we did a stabilization of it, which included a new roof, gutters and downspouts. We did tuck pointing, removed large trees, and we did a new front porch because the existing one was falling off. So the intention of Columbus Landmarks has always been to acquire properties that maybe were in danger of losing. We try to protect them with a preservation easement to maintain the character, and then we connect them with a preservation-minded developer, which is how we ended up connecting with Blake. We actually beforehand put out an RFP for this to see who might be interested in this property. The project came back to us and of course added 2 more buildings to it. So those other 2 buildings are not part of the easement, but where we stand right now is we are in the process of working out the preservation easement with Compton Construction, and we'll try to get that together before the next appearance before the review board. So the preservation easements you work with the nonprofit first, and then if the owner and the nonprofit are in agreement with the parameters of the easement, then we present before you. So
And so, thank you,
Yeah,
Susan.
sure.
So part of this process, the RFP has been also meeting some standards and requirements of the land bank. So we have this agreement in place that we kind of had to come forward and make sure that we can actually do what we want to do with these 3 homes before we can buy the property. So part of why we have 2 applications is normally I would want to tee everything up and show up with a complete application, but in order to close on 536 officially with land banks, we need approval on the lot combination and the use. So does that help?
I empathize. I do third of my house.
Awesome. Anything else for Susan?
Yeah, so, this proposal is to take 3 individual houses and connect them. And now that I understand that landmarks is involved, so they're now connecting to a property that's been deemed of historical interest.
correct.
How does landmarks feel about that, of introducing a new element that changes the character of that original property?
Well, we've set aside in the preservation easement that we'll continue to work on this, the elements that we want preserved in 536. Our main concern is 536. So how the other buildings touch 536 is something that we will look at as well. But we're not really reviewing or weighing in on the other 2 structures.
Right, but that connection to.
It's very
536,
important.
That's, okay.
Exactly.
So that isn't final, I mean, it's conceptual, still,
Right.
like the whole thing is. So you're still working.
Yes.
On the conceptual review, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and we want to see more detail on that, for sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Anyone, any other questions for the applicant?
Do you have hours of, can you tell us a little bit more about what the use is going to be like?
Yeah, so I know that there's some requests from staff on a floor plan, and I've actually even heard that from landmarks. I am a interesting developer in that I believe that if you build it, they will come. We do not have a tenant or prospective tenant at this point. The idea of saving these homes is something that I got involved in through Jim Sweeney a couple years ago, and connecting these 3 homes is something that we've learned is one of the ways to control costs of individual projects. So doing each of these homes individually and taking care of each application, and ADA accessibility and ADA ramps and restrooms adds up, and especially with fire separation, but combining them creates a very interesting design hurdle that has inspired me. And so we see this as a music hall. We think that that's the right call to connect these houses down the street. So once people are getting on Walnut Street and going to 494 and 500 and hopefully 520, they'll see this kind of interesting moment in the back and they'll keep going. But we don't have a tenant right now. And we will definitely be back with a better floor plan to kind of talk about the interiors in a future date.
So Blake, this is part of the vision that Jim Sweeney was put together for Walnut Street, right?
Yeah, this is
Maybe
in
this
line with
will
the Walnut
create
Street from a couple years ago.
Something, right? It'd be really helpful when in an application like that to see. I don't know how you bring that document back, but he came and presented to us.
Right.
That vision. And so we, at least most of us that were here, know that vision.
I think what would help me, if I mean all of us, but to find when that application was and what that was, and I'll reference it on all future documents.
Yeah, and that wasn't an application. You did not prove anything. It was basically, this is a vision for Walnut Street. And I think, again, it set the tone for what Jim was trying to do with his property and perhaps, I mean, this obviously. And isn't there another music venue right across the street? It's the
There's the recording studio.
recording studio, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit of what inspired him to see this as a music corridor.
And the city staff put on a tour of East Franklinton, and we toured that studio, met the people there. So I totally get this vibe. I mean, I think, this is changing the character of what was, but it's headed towards a vision, which I think is pretty unique and special. And I think, Jim's proposal, I call it Jim's, I don't know if it's a bigger group, but Jim presented it to us, and it definitely creates a unique artist place in East Franklinton, which is what the vision plan is all about, right?
Yeah.
These unique places and stuff. So,
And I think it's honoring these historic homes that survived the floods. And I think in the other application, maybe we'll show the renderings, Nolan, and you'll see that one of the things that was important to us before even engaging with like full design review with landmarks was, making them still feel like homes from a distance, not making them something that we learned from Rainy Street is like over the years, these houses have turned into these giant kind of like mongoloid structures and
Megaplexes almost.
yeah. And so I said it on 494, but it's like putting enough money in these structures that it doesn't make sense to tear them down in the future. I think that's what we're really trying to do. While still honoring the existing character, the original character.
I mean, as much as we talk about, the Arts and Innovative District down there, like one of the things that is missing here, being an arts district is being multidisciplinary. And so I would think anytime you have like a music venue down there that can bring the performing arts, it's adding more culture to the area. So I appreciate that if nothing else.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like the concept. I am curious of how this proposed use, like how do you propose you're going to engage with the residents that live at the opposite end of Walnut Street? I know that the vast majority of them have lived there and those homes have been in their families for generations. And I know some of them have, mentioned that they're less than thrilled what's happening along Walnut Street. They're afraid of being displaced by noise, activity along the streets. And a lot of them are elderly, so I'm just not sure if some of that's been part of the discussion of how do we, plan with the existing residents on that street as well.
Yeah, well, I would love to know the residents and engage with them. Everyone on this side of the street, there are only outside of Jim, there's only 2 people living on that street at this point. Cheryl is a homeowner and is actively looking to sell, and we bought 2 of these houses from her brothers that sold, and we worked with them when we sold them to let them live there as long as they wanted to until they found somewhere to live. And then there's a woman that lives in the house next door that's a rental house. I don't know of anyone else on the block.
It's a gentleman that lives at the end. I know this.
So on the other side of the street? Or on the
Yeah, he's down at the end by like Mill,
Okay,
or mentioned passing.
interesting.
Do an inspection on my house, like, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's what's happening on
Oh.
the street. It's just something that's always stuck with me. So
Yeah.
I can't unhear,
Yeah,
someone said, 'cause I think, the proposal is great. I just am curious, how are we gonna continue you know, as this neighborhood continues to develop, how can we plan with the people who've been there for generations to be mindful of these uses and how we can incorporate them
For
thoughtfully.
sure, for sure. I'm open to dialogue with anyone. And, you know, again, right now, we're talking about a use and not hours or actual like programming. And would follow all of the city rules with that and get in trouble for it. Yeah.
So can you remind us of what area within East Franklinton this is?
Yeah, arts and innovation.
Mhm.
So, yeah, which is different, isn't the further south, the Dodge Park area of residential?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so to me, this fits within.
It absolutely
Yeah,
does. I just, it's always a conversation I think is so important to have, that if there is existing residents living around there, like, you know, as we're planning with them and not just kind of blanket wise. I think this is a great proposal and I think it, you know, fits the context of the street and the plan.
I know, like, I also hear people speak, but one of the things I do is I always encourage them to come here.
Yeah.
You know, because every, like, if that is sort of how they feel, this is open. And I would love to hear more dialogue from our community, and this is open to hear that. So if you ever, I always encourage people to come here.
So we had an earlier application that, or there was something to do with parking before we lost. But then people that were living there weren't able to park in front of their houses because of the way it was set up. And one woman who has disabilities, and it was really important for her to park in front of her house. And there was like this whole detailed conversation between the city and her, and they worked out a deal where she could get to her house. So I think there's sensitivity to the residents that live there, and not trying to make them feel like they're
Oh,
being
absolutely.
pushed out or that
That
they're
was not my intention.
creating uses that aren't bad. So
Yeah.
just a conversation.
You can, if you talk to this gentleman, in the future, let him know that one of the things we did do for the block was buy the drug house, 544 Walnut Street. And I had to go to court yesterday for that to say we're gonna fix up everything. So we're at least doing some positives there.
That's great.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? If not, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the change of use
As submitted
as submitted.
I'll second.
and seconded.
It's also
Whoa.
the lot combination.
And a lot, yeah, I knew what I was.
Application as submitted.
Okay.
Thank you. Who was the second? I'm so sorry. Mr. Burgess,
Approved.
Mr. White,
Approve.
Mr. Bush,
Approved.
Ms. Schmidt,
Approved.
Ms. Benner,
Approve.
Ms. Hamilton.
Approve.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you.
You mind, still up?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so now we can get it.
Now you guys can yell.
Stick around, there we go. All right, on the conceptual applications, this is, we have 24 004, 530, 536 West Walnut Street, North Street, Franklinton Partners, the owner, and Blake Compton is the applicant, who is still in her role. Staff report, please.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to go over skip over the first part. It's the same as the previous application, same property is what we're talking about. The application is generally consistent with these recommendations of the East Franklinton Creative Community Plan. Plan permits the proposed uses in this location and recommends that historic and other contributing buildings be preserved to the extent possible. However, staff would request a floor plan to provide greater clarity on whether the music performances will take place indoors or outdoors. Staff notes the main entry to the music hall is on the east facade. Staff recommends relocating the main music hall entrance so that it fronts West Walnut. The plan states the primary entrances to the building should be oriented to the primary public street with at least one operable door on the primary. Lastly, staff requests greater detail in the site plan to reflect proposed parking, proposed bicycle parking, and service access. Conceptual, so no recommendations.
Any questions for staff? If not, let's move on to the applicant, main event.
I think, this is my first conceptual review of my career. I love actions. I don't know how to do conceptual reviews. I think for me, I'm gonna add with this here, just look at these staff comments and ask questions. I guess that's what I should do. Okay. So the Nolan, do you have the renderings by chance?
I do.
You want to
Sure.
pull those up?
Yeah.
I think the renderings would help a lot. So something I didn't have when I submitted the application, it is based on some feedback from an initial conversation with Landmarks, although they are not approving this, I'm not saying that. We do show some bicycle parking now on the front of the 532. We are showing some signage. This rendering is trying to show the context of the scale of the additions, and the fact that as you stand right here as a pedestrian, you won't even see the additions. So these three homes are all connected. You can kind of see just like a little hint of brown in between the green and black house. But otherwise, you really can't see the fact that they're connected. The 530 house, the white house, the side entrance is actually how the house is built right now. There's a side entrance. While we are relocating the entrance on the side, from the side to the side, I would like to continue to do that if possible. So I'd like maybe have dialogue on if that's a sticking point. Part of why I want to hold to that is the fronts of the houses, we're trying to all match up to their original historic characters and how they were originally built. So bringing a front entrance on the front of the White House would be changing the original architecture and makeup of those three houses. We want to just stop there and have dialogue, or should I just keep talking?
I mean, I understand the reasoning based on the historic nature of the places, so like I can appreciate that for sure. Was there any ADA accessibility?
You have the other.
That one, can we see that one?
So the far side, we have an ADA ramp, and it wraps around the whole backside. There's whole ADA accessibility on the backside.
Trying to get you multiple entrances, kind of?
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant, thank you.
And and what you're seeing on this house on 536, we're essentially taking what the easement agreement that we're working with Landmarks, and we're trying to apply as much of what we consider common sense design across the other houses. So when you see the window placement right now, those 530 and 532, they have kind of like messed up second generation, third generation window locations. So we're bringing those two structures back to meet with the historic original intent of the build, and trying to incorporate materials that we're agreeing to use on 536 across all of them, so it will feel connected. Right now, we've gone back and forth on having kind of one single color across all three structures, or going with three colors. We're tending to lean towards making it feel like it's three individual structures. We just want people to be able to walk up and not be confused on what's going on. So part of why in the other rendering we have kind of a larger sign is that's kind of calling you to that space. And then while you can't see, it's not clear, with the greenhouse, that's going to be like an artist in residency or musician in residency program, and it kind of says private only, and we're gonna have some kind of nice, simple signage on the glass or the transom to call that out. Part of our proposal to Landmarks, and one of the kind of inspirations from Secret Studios, their recording studio that bring out of town, musicians. Wouldn't it be cool if they could stay here, record their cool album, and play music, for a weekend or a week at the music venue next door? So that's kind of the inspiration here. What else?
Again, just so I understand this right,
Mhm.
there's different entrances into each house has its own thing going on, but
So-
they're still connected and you.
So I would say you've got I'll just use the colors, right? The white and black house are one use. So you've got like
Okay.
the entrance to the space,
Through
The
the
white-
white,
Yeah, the White House will be
Yeah.
the entrance where you've got the bar and the restrooms. And then the Black House is more of the indoor music venue. The backside of the Black House, right now, we're showing kind of more large glass that allows access from in and out of the patio back there. It's probably on the site plan. Yeah, so you see right there, the middle house right there, there's 4 panes of glass doors. It helps give a little more context there, yeah.
Like accordion doors almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
As long as the budget makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that. That's what I want, yeah.
I prefer to see them go into wall,
Yeah.
but I'm just kidding.
and then if you move over into the greenhouse,
That's a separation. That's a separation, yes.
they're all though connected, but
Yes.
there's technically only 2 entrances, there's 2.
Spaces that'll be public occupied and then one space is going to be privately occupied.
Correct. Right. There is a little bit of a pipe dream because I know code well enough to feel like it's going to be difficult to pull off. But if you see on the back, this is the back side of the property, the upper elevation here, you see there's a railing. There's an idea that on 536, the second floor will have a catwalk that goes through the other 2 spaces. And so that if you've got like camera people or you've got VIP, you can have a different experience of the music venue from that catwalk. And the catwalk will feed into 530, where the second floor will be a friends hangout pad for musicians that travel with big groups of people.
I see, now I see why they're all
Yeah.
free, is that cool, that is a cool thing, it's like that.
Any architects watching right now will talk about fire rating and separation of mixed use, but I like this idea right now.
So Blake, do you want our comments on the renderings or on the submitted package? Because it's different. Quite a bit.
I think about all comments.
No, I just want
Yeah.
to keep our attention to one thing, right? So to me, the renderings have advanced the thinking, so we should give our comments on that because they're different than the plans that were submitted,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So for instance, there's a porch now you've added to, on the other end, right? To.
Yeah, the porch has been changed.
Right?
Yeah,
It doesn't.
the porch has been changed, yes.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's really great. Can we both do this? So I love the color differences. I love what you got about, I love the addition of the initial porch. It's just about in balance with where it feels like something that's coming together. The nature of the ground plane is very schizophrenic. It's like, how many materials can I put into the front of this? So I love the railing on.
I prefer eclectic, but we'll go.
I would say schizophrenic.
Okay.
So 536, I love that look, and I'm sure Landmarks is pushing you to do something more traditional. But that railing, if you continue that to all of it, that gives a continuity to the entire front of it, which I think would, I mean, you've got 3 different screens in the front. Yeah, actually maybe 4 because the other railings do different than. So if that railing became kind of a unifying element, I think that would be really helpful. And what is, okay, you probably haven't thought about the details, but you have it looks like a block, like a concrete block, and then you have, is it stone, the other color? Brown?
To the right,
To the left, that right there. Is that stone?
that's more of like a wood
Oh,
planter. Yeah.
again, I think something consistent there. Haven't we had a conversation about concrete block? On another question.
Yeah, well,
I think that looks so unfinished and it's like a construction, like you're ready.
yeah, I think
Put something on it.
it's funny you say that because originally, when I was working with our rendering designer, she had more of like a poured wall, and I said, make it block because that's what's consistent with the street. Like that's what's going on with the other porches and like existing conditions. So I did it for that reason, but actually originally we had more of a wood tone there, and I felt like it just made more sense since we're elevating it to keep it with how the other porches look.
Well, if you had those 2 solid masses the same and then the railing was consistent that you start pulling something together.
Mhm.
What's happening to the right? Because how far does that go?
So that fence,
Yeah, that fence, is that?
that's more artistic than actual. Our lot line would not let us really extend that direction. It was just kind of to,
Yeah.
if it probably would be helpful for everyone to see the existing condition because MTR has a chain link fence on this side and on the side of probably the other applicant that was about to come up. And it's not pretty, and it's just rental equipment.
But you have you're going up a couple steps, and then you go all the way back on the side of that property, so you have to have some kind of a railing,
Yeah,
right? So you're gonna have to have something that you've got it going along the street that will, and you've got it going along the side too, so that railing that goes along the street wouldn't be there unless you're gonna buy that property.
Correct.
Differently. So that edge, that railing, again, goes back to the comment about consistency of pine tree railings. I think the people that don't.
perfect.
Unless, again, you could have two railing types, but just not two. And I'm less concerned about what's going on in the back of the, what's that, Walnut Street?
Yeah.
So I think you're headed in the right direction, just gotta start simplifying some of the materials. I'm confused about, maybe I just didn't read enough of it. What's happening, got this deck or something in the back, but it's not the whole site, so this property owns that whole block, right?
To the,
All three properties.
yes,
So if it's not a deck, which is 3 and 6, what else? What is the rest of the lot back there? All that.
well, so what we're trying to do, this is, we're combining 3 homes. It's still gonna be tight square footage, like occupancy loads are gonna be tight. And so we're trying to create different types of interesting moments, which you can see you will be able to see on the front a little bit more, which is why there's on the front of the house, there's like a little sitting area. And then down the side of the house, there's gonna be some sitting areas. And then there'll be a kind of a elevated fire pit area. And then down in the grassy area, we were actually working on some landscaping. Yes, right now. Right now.
That was the major.
Okay. Well, it's going to be further thought out. We do have some details that I actually pulled out of this application because I figured if I start talking about sacred geometry with you right now, you'd probably be like, wait, what? So
I'm looking at this as a music band, right? And I'm thinking the opportunity of creating an outdoor stage in the back and an event lawn. You know, you could set chairs, you could sit on, you could have all sorts of music happening like up on the stage. I think to tell this story, it's the whole, and I think that's where staff was going about how big is the music venue going to be, just inside or are you going to spill out? So it'd be really helpful to know. If you said, oh, that's just going to be parking, well, that's a difficult conversation. But if you intend to use it as part of.
there will, I'm probably in general, if you ever see me up here, I'm not going to propose parking. So there's no parking on this development. Just to clarify that.
I don't think you could pull a car around there anymore.
No, it's that 10-foot grass alley, unimproved alley is not accessible on this side of MTR.
Right.
And yeah, so hadn't thought about the outside music, actually. The way we saw 532 is like the front of the house will be the stage. And so the band will be looking towards the back of the house and that hopefully accordion glass can open up and people can spill outside. And so music would be inside and yes, there'd be sound outside, but haven't really fully dove into having music outside. And I think some of it's not knowing how it will be used and not wanting to overplan it on the front end and see it not get used the way we spent money on it. So
I think it's about telling the complete story.
Yeah.
Of how you're gonna use that space, whether you implement it right away. We can approve something that you could, I mean, you don't have, just because we approve it, doesn't mean you have to build it. Right away, right? It could be, but to give us a sense of how these three lots are really gonna be used.
Yeah.
I think would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
You know, thinking about landscape materials. Is it, maybe if the game could be paved and it's not grass, I don't know, it's those types of things, I could see it being I would call it an event lot, right? Just simple and it's multifunctional, right? You can use it for seating, you can use it for people who go out and, you know, play in between, you know, for kids or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, your proposal is extremely interesting and has a lot of potential. So I think I would be looking for more of a story in the back. The front, you heard my comments on, right? About materials.
Yeah.
But without knowing how how the whole back functions, it's hard to respond to the architecture also.
Heard. There was a comment from staff about the rear outdoor space being for public use. Could you clarify what you meant, or is it, are we talking about it?
That was part of it. There's something in the planning document that talks about a site's visibility. So really what we're trying to kind of ascertain is, will this space in the rear be open to the rest of the community when there's not a performance? Just kind of solidifying what the rear is going to be used for.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's along the same line, but.
And I'm sure that, again, how you use that space might require it to be fenced, and I don't see a fence there now, right, just on.
There is existing fences now, but yeah, right. I mean, we would probably be carrying that horizontal fence back there in some capacity. Yeah.
But it might be a requirement, because if you have, look at the alcohol sector.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it's required.
Yeah, there's.
Because kind of going off of what Kim was saying, a little bit, I don't know anything about design, but sort of, I guess your challenge of me even understanding sort of what's going on. And I sort of had to walk through exactly what was happening, assume someone walking by is gonna have that exact same. So like your challenge is gonna be like, how do you tie it kind of in, whether it's railing or however that might look. That would be the only thing. Yeah, that would just be the only thing I would say to you from that, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I do appreciate the houses being different colors. I know you guys had a conversation about that, but I appreciate that because it's actually lending itself to the staying in a neighborhood kind of feel.
Yeah.
Story.
But like to Lauren's point, I feel like, yes, more signage, maybe even up. Even if it's just small, it's, you know, something that just draws attention that says this is all one thing. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, but that, I think that is the whole challenge. So, but besides that, I think this is amazing.
I know in the other, so you see in this rendering, we've got like a little blade sign on the White House. And then on the other side, you know, you've got the kind of more of a mural or like a older version of like the music hall. And then there'd be kind of like a show bill sign against the door that kind of like, here's what's playing tonight and here's who's playing, you know, that's the idea. Those three elements right there.
Up there.
And then to the eclectic design taste that's being shown right now. You know, we've changed the steps to more of like a tile detail to call that space out a little bit more. And make it be like, that's clearly the place to go. And I mean, we're saying where not to go for sure with the bicycle parking and the kind of the elevated deck. But I'm hearing your comments.
And staff's gonna be able to help you with signage and size, height, and all that. These are very specific requirements. For that.
Correct.
So just to.
Yeah, absolutely. These renderings are not respecting those requirements whatsoever. I hear that.
And like, just to make sure that since we're gonna address this whole concrete block thing, maybe if the tile from the steps kind of was mimicked all the way down, maybe that'll make him happy a little bit.
Over concrete blocks.
Say that again.
like maybe like mimicking that tile pattern down with concrete blocks even? You think that would give you that?
I don't want to design it as once, I'm just looking for this, it sounds that cool. I like the tiles, I think that's cool. And it's, and especially, exactly like you said, it calls out the entrance.
Yeah.
It's,
I think other than that, we've checked, so I just wanted to acknowledge, we won't be proposing any, we can't propose any loading zones. We don't have anywhere to have vehicles, access the property on the backside or the sides. So there may be a conversation with right of way or, public service about creating a temporary loading zone. I've done that before on the south side. But just acknowledging there's, since we won't be providing parking.
I'll make sure to put you in contact with the man with the word. All of the parking issues in East Franklinton are sort of, I guess, outside of the design of the line. You don't really have to review over that.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely make sure to reach out to her. CC you with any, so you can get in contact.
Appreciate you.
You know, and, you know, loading can be an operational thing where you're restricted to certain times of the day and maybe you just put codes out when there's going to be a loading and people can't park there then. I mean, obviously you want people to park there when there's entertainment going on.
Right. And we don't want to be receiving packages when there's entertainment going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with that.
So I don't know if that meets city requirements, but I think you see other places operate like that.
Yeah.
There's
I feel like, is there street parking on that? street?
limited, but yes.
Will you keep that, you guys gonna keep that or try and keep that?
As it currently stands, that's the
Yeah.
plan. Yeah. I mean, in the Walnut Street plan, there's a vision of
So there's
pedestrian only.
cars parked in front, just on like right on the street, okay.
Because that's the only side, the other side doesn't allow for parking right there.
Right.
That side of the street.
And I thought, we even had a conversation of flipping that one, so it was on the other side. I know.
The other comment that I just wanted to hear out, it says consider reducing the height of the connectors so that they are no taller than the bottom of the roof gables. I think that's based on that elevation right there.
Yeah, I think a few of us were just, kind of do a pass review, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of bounce off other people's ideas. And I think one of the consistent comments was that these connectors were a little taller. Maybe reducing them so that they match the height. This area here.
Okay. Okay.
The gate.
Thank you. All right.
I wouldn't say that's a staff comment.
Yeah.
Just for.
Well, I wanted clarification, so I mean, I think we need to go into interior design and understand the use of all the space and understand if we need height or what, and still, again, how it looks from the streetscape. So, all right.
Sometimes when you try to like match stuff, it looks too perfect. I kind of like the idea that this is something different. Let's make it something different like that. So that would be my comment.
Heard.
No, I appreciate keeping the character of the street, character of the neighborhood, because I think a lot of times the conversation in East Franklinton might be like gentrification, and I feel like the thoughtfulness of keeping it like that is the anti-gentrification tactic. One thing that I think I would like to see when you come back for either conceptual review or permit review is more of a materials list of like, are you going to, and materials in general, like, are you gonna do like sound dampening windows, any noise proofing? If the intent is to build a structure, those kind of materials coming back.
Okay.
I think the gray might be the other one was.
Do what? Oh, yeah.
Not the anonymous grade. But yeah, that is a concern though with the sound dampening.
I'm going to be using Public Enemy gray.
Right.
Is there like a specific sound decibel though, to like stay at, and like that's,
From a city, yeah, from a code standpoint, yes.
It's something like 20, you're not supposed to be able to hear sound 25 feet off your property line.
and then in specific hours too?
Yes, yeah. We've had to deal with this on the south side because where my development there is it's surrounded by houses, so.
And I know they've done it really thoughtfully, like with the Dixon, a couple other places where they converted homes and like residential adjacent neighborhoods.
Put that tech, or whatever it is, in the actual walls or something like
Yeah.
that to kind of help absorb it.
I'll add sound management to the conversation when we come back.
Any other conversation on this one? Not.
Well, Kim, how are we feeling about trees?
Oh,
We haven't submitted trees yet.
Okay.
Come in.
Should I, is it
The more
more
the
the,
better.
more the better?
more
Okay.
than that, but like,
Take them, take those big trees. And then, Mike, where I was going with back was, that's a big open area. Is it just all paved? Or is there landscape with it? So
Uh,
at least one tree I got.
I know, yeah. So if I do a mural of a tree, is that, no, okay. got it.
Didn't we do that on? No, this is taking the screen of the.
oh, the screen of trees, oh, for the,
Screen of the screen wall.
yeah.
There was a proposal to put those trees on instead of putting trees on. I don't think we can go before.
Got it, heard. All right,
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't in that one.
thank you, guys.
Awesome, thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next conceptual application is, yeah, 2402005, address is 520 West Walnut Street, and the applicant and owner is Metro Living LLC. Staff report, please.
Thank you. The existing site, 520 West Walnut, is a single-family home situated in industrial district to the west, and a single-family home adjacent to the east. The applicant is requesting conceptual review for a change of use in addition to an existing single-family home. The intent is for the first floor to be changed to commercial uses, while the second floor is managed as a single apartment. Work will include to add an addition of 19 feet up to 23 feet. There's a 19-foot, 4-foot concrete porch on the first floor. Full foundation below the addition. Foundation painted white. Wood steps and railing will lead to the roof deck with iron rail system. Roof deck to overhang first floor walls, approximately 16 inches on two sides and one in the rear area. Framed glass doors and windows, vertical metal board and battens. ADA lift at rear property, access from side yard, walkway, and rear avenue. The submission includes elevations, existing condition photos, and material specifications and cut sheet. The proposal is generally consistent with the East Franklinton plan, and the code permits the proposed uses. The plan recommends historic buildings be preserved to the extent possible and the ADA accessibility be provided. The applicant is repurposing historic home in the neighborhood and proposing a chairlift in the rear of the building to make the establishment ADA accessible. The plan also states that all 5 buildings should be clearly designed and treated with a consistent level of detail. Staff would encourage the applicant to rework the elevation so that there is a better relationship between the residential unit and the proposed commercial/outdoor deck space. Additionally, staff recommends that the proposed deck in the rear not extend past the width of the original structure on this elevation. Lastly, staff requested detailed site plan in greater detail on the elevations to further evaluate consistency with the East Franklinton Creative Community District. Excuse me. This is a conceptual application, no recommendation.
Thank you. Questions for staff?
Nolan, so in your description,
Yes.
the change of use is commercial on the ground floor and then residential above.
Correct.
But the rooftop deck is commercial. So it's not, doesn't fit that definition.
Yes.
So then you have residential and commercial happen in the same time.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of clarity that we would like to see as well. If you look at I think specifically. This relationship here is a little concerning for us. If this is access to residential, and if this is for the commercial space, how exactly those relate to each other?
But are there any code issues related horizontally then between a residential set of commercial use or something?
No, in East Franklin, which is considered a mixed use building.
So it's really, that's really what it's being.
Yes. It's a mixed use. changing the use from strictly residential to mixed.
Got it, okay,
So
so
that's,
the definition was,
Apologies.
or, yes, it was.
so just to clarify, what that's to say, like, you know, we're not worried about there being a deck upstairs, I guess, and
Essentially, just having two uses on the same property. I think the biggest concern for us is the design of those two uses and how they relate to each other, keeping that apartment separate, essentially.
Look, if there's
In
gonna,
some way.
if there's a divide in that space to where, okay, gotcha, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? If not, gentlemen, state your names for record, please.
Scott Padella.
Carlos Silvestri.
And you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Applicants, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. My name's Carlos Silvestri. This is my business partner, Scott Padella. We own Metro Living, which owns this property at 520 West Walnut. Our intention is to put an extension on the first floor. The current square footage is about 730 square feet. We want to add approximately 443 square feet to the rear of the building on the first floor only, which would then allow us about 1,100 square foot of commercial space on the first floor. The lot, if you see it, it is right next door to the rental business. Our property is to the right of it. The rear yard backs to the rental storage building, the block building back behind it. The rear yard it's not very accessible, fairly small, but we do have access between 520 and 518. We have about 4 foot between the properties. So we thought about extending the first floor to cover the majority of the property. We'd have a rear porch on the rear, covered porch with an ADA lift. People can access between the two properties to the lift and up. We would have an exterior staircase that would go up between the public deck and the single family residence. Of course, the deck would be over top of the addition as you see it right there.
Yeah, I think it showed on the floor plan, it shows the stairs.
Yeah.
Where's the lift or something?
The lift, well, and we'll go back to it. It's not in that center picture right near his arrow. If you go up right on the corner, it looks like a white box.
Right.
That's just representing where the lift is going to go. Yeah. Right next to it's the porch. And then up along the right-hand side, it's actual covered staircase that'll lead you to the balcony area between the residence and the deck. And then from that open balcony, you can walk up to the public deck. So the access to the deck is always available.
And part of the reason for the overhang is weather related, so that there's, you know, a cover over the side and the back.
Gotcha, that ADA, accessible, lift. So is there like a decline, I guess, going from where that side part of the apartment is going, like, is there like a decline there, or how does that? Maybe I'm trying to make sure I can map this out.
Sorry, go ahead, say that again.
So like, if the lift's here in the back and the apartment's up here and you're going through,
This will not, the lift will be for the first floor commercial only.
okay. But, all right, so not for the person renting the apartment upstairs.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
And this is kind of part of Jim's whole Walnut Street project he talked to us about. We're in the midst of actually reconstructing the house. That's why you see all the materials that are on it in those pictures already. So we are in the midst of working through the process to change what we're doing.
Yeah, and to give you a little background, we picked up this property back in 2019.
between COVID and some changes and some different ideas, this was started off to be a residence. We kept everything the same, structurally re-supported everything in this house, foundation, new sewer, new water line. Knew everything pretty well. Interior wise, the structural, the framing, the foundation are all the same, just re-supported. And as this thing escalated, and we started finding out more and more what's going on in the area, we decided to try to change this so it'd be more suitable for the whole environment. Commercial use on a first floor residence seemed to make sense. The lot is very tiny. There's no access really to the rear besides through the alley in between the two properties. The left side of our property is about 1'5" from the rental property next door. So we have very limited on anything to be done there. The front is 7.5 foot. So of course, there wasn't a whole lot we can do there, but we do have access down the whole right-hand side. We know there'll be a little bit of grading needs done, but quite a bit of the whole right side is already concreted anyways. Left side is what I explained. So then the back, by being able to put the addition on, we will use the whole property.
So how do you, okay, so the lift just takes you to the first floor,
That's correct.
so you can't get up to the top.
That's correct.
So is that not an issue? Doesn't that have to be ADA accessible? A commercial establishment?
Yes.
So that's an issue, I think.
This
Yeah, that's what I
public
was-
space considered commercial.
Right, the second floor, the reason, I think what Ken was saying, the reason I was asking earlier, was that going to go all the way up to the second floor? Because I was assuming that it would have to, if you were going to have that as a commercial space, there has to be access to it as well, I guess, at least I thought that was how that worked.
It's meant to be a use for the person who lives there and for the whole structure itself, so
So it will. go
use
to
for
the
both
second-
tenants.
Okay,
You know.
okay, because that's, yeah, that's what I was saying, maybe I'm confused, I don't know if I'm.
No, you're right.
Okay.
We have to the first floor.
Okay.
But the rooftop is a commercial outdoor bar, right?
Oh, it's not.
It's an amenity, no, it's not a bar, it's an amenity for the property.
It looks like it has rails all around it, there's chairs on it, it looks like a bar.
Yeah, it looks like
It's not a bar.
part of that used to the first part, like it's,
No,
Oh, that was very confusing. I just assumed by the layout that it's an outdoor drinking area.
or in
Can
addition
you
to the
go to
first
that
part.
slide? I think it's slide 14. Cause I'm actually kind of confused too, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's wrong. Yeah, like
right up here,
right up
yeah.
there.
That doesn't look like a private home's deck.
It kind of looks
yeah, I
like-
think that was an earlier rendition
Yeah.
of something we sent in, but our original. I think we have more slides than that that show it differently. Because right now we don't have a tenant for the bottom or a use for it. Again, we hope that
But in
between all these guys will help us find a tenant to fill out that bottom space, whether it's an art gallery or, it's whatever establishment, the commercial will be rented.
So I guess that's the question, and, is there an intended, like, and what would be your thoughts on maybe what you kind of are like focusing on having in that bottom space? Because I think that might be a kind of help us to kind of understand.
We're gonna leave it unfinished so that whoever comes in can finish it themselves, but whoever's highest and best use is kind of what we're looking for.
Because again, back to Kim's question, Kim's statement, if this is going to be, say, a bar in the first floor, and you're using that second floor as part of the bar, then at some point that the ADA accessibility has to match to where they can get to the second floor as well. Can't just have them have only access to the first floor and say, well, sorry, you can't go up to the second floor, if that's going to be in the bar space. If that's a gallery space, it's a little bit different. So like kind of having an idea of that probably will help us out, kind of figure out, what things we need to maybe see to make this better.
Yeah, we talked to Nolan a little bit about it, and it's basically just gonna be a public space. I don't know exactly how you wanna.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's interested in leasing it for a art gallery or small accounting office or whatever they want to do, I guess they would have to get that approved.
Yeah.
So why is the space in the back? Are you trying to create a double height space there and then this outdoor space sits on top of it?
We're trying to acquire more space for the first floor
Space and
commercial,
vertical space or horizontal space?
Vertical.
vertical. So
The horizontal is just for high ceiling.
yes, that's for high ceilings. So instead of just putting a flat roof or another gable, we just said, well, why don't we just put a,
But you're not creating more leasable space, it's just taller space. So if you go to the elevation. So that space that's right now shown below the outdoor space is just a void. You could pull that outdoor space down to the top of the first level and have it contiguous all the way through.
yes.
That, it just seems awkward, you've got that steps in between, it's, the back is just, so it's not schizophrenic, it's kind of Frankenstein-like in terms of, it just doesn't.
Yeah, there's a switchback for
Yeah,
the stairs
but
up
I
there
understand
so that
why.
we didn't have it on the same level as the residential.
Yeah, I guess I'm
And
sure.
we're,
The difference.
and we're talking about, we had talked about with Nolan, just putting a gate up between the two so that there would be a gate for the access of the residential.
Other than creating a taller first floor, I don't know what that's achieving really.
I guess if it's a gallery or something like that, they want height to the ceilings. From what I've seen,
It's
it's
just
short
creating a
north.
very awkward situation with this outdoor space.
Right, I think the outdoor space is throwing us off because it just seems like it's a little bit more than what maybe.
Yeah.
It's already been determined at this point, so I think it just looks more evolved than maybe what you guys already have planned out, so I think that's what's throwing us all off. Because again, if you look at that space that Ken was just referring to for the residential, if that back spot was there and you had the elevator going up, that's also gonna help you out if getting a tenant upstairs that's also maybe needs ADA accessibility. So, that's helping you out with your rental options as well. So we're kind of thinking of it that way and thinking of like all of that. So
Is it required to have ADA for the second floor?
I'm just saying it's not required, but I'm saying it might be something that you're looking at because you're gonna increase your pool of individuals who might be renting that space,
And I was gonna say ADA accessibility is part of the spring
For the second floor residents?
for the site.
The site.
Yeah.
To access the site, and if you have two
Yeah.
different uses on the site.
Got
Okay.
So this being mixed use with like commercial ground floor and residential above, I think that's very appropriate for this area. I just think you're illustrating something that's packing a lot into a small area to the point where you're starting to, it's detrimental to what I think it's just detrimental to the site. That it's like over designed. And again, I don't know who has an outdoor deck that has chairs, a rail and chairs all around it. I think they're bars. That's what it looks like to be. So I'm still not convinced that's not the intent of what you're trying to do is create an outdoor drinking area. Even though you say you're not, but that's scale. And if I was doing an outdoor rooftop drinking area, I try to maximize the area, which is this is trying to do. And I think it's just an outdoor space for the residential. Or for the commercial, that it could be much smaller than that, or keeping within the envelope of the building, which would be much more architecturally, I think, appropriate.
You wrote about the landscaping?
This is conceptual. Yes, there's not a lot of site there.
There's not really a lot of space for that out front, I think, even or back, so I feel like.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Knowing the street as well as I do, I know it's hard to
Yeah.
kind of sneak some trees in there, especially with the rental space next door to that. So in your butt.
Yeah, there's the road. What's
The
there?
road is not, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's not really
there's
bad.
barely a curb, then sidewalk and then the house.
Even the sidewalks a little,
Yeah.
this generous calling it that.
No, it's not hard.
I know Jim's working on that, so
Yeah.
It might be worth a conversation with building and zoning about how they're gonna require you to do fire rating. If it's a new addition attached to a structure with it being so close to the lot line. So just might be a conversation to have with them.
And had you thought, again, if there's ADA access, have you thought about where the ADA parking spaces?
No, we haven't even got to the parking space.
Because there's not enough space, I don't believe, on the side of the building. You need 4 feet.
Yeah, there's 3.5 feet
Yeah, you need 4.
between our
for ADA
building.
access.
What's that?
You need 4 feet for ADA.
Oh, yeah.
So that would, so you'd have to have something in the rear. And is there a
I
rear?
think it's more than 4 feet.
But the building is
I
right,
think
it's
it's
one side
4.5
parking building, so the actual MTR building is right there.
So I don't even know how you get back to the.
That's what I'm saying, oh, that's what they were saying.
So there's,
Yeah, I think it's 4.5, I think it's 4.5 feet.
there's about 4.5 feet.
4.5.
Might be
Yeah,
five.
it might even be more, you're right.
I'm pretty sure I can not touch both houses. So that's about 5 feet.
Again, one stop shop's gonna let me tell you that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
And there's currently a sidewalk that is needed replaced, but it's there.
Board mind if I ask a question? I have a question.
Yes.
I don't want to keep harping on the rear, but I think one of the main concerns we have is if we're looking at this, if this is supposed to be public space here, and this is the entrance to the apartment, the fact that they share, there's just kind of direct access to the apartment from the public space. I don't know if that's a concern. That's just one of the questions that we had. If we're looking at taking the stairs up, and if this is going to be shared between.
Yeah, we talked about putting a gate up right where the stairs are,
Right
right
here.
where your mouse is. Well, not that, just up and down from right where your mouse is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But to cut that door off,
Okay.
put a
Got it.
rider gate.
Okay. So going from here to here.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
It may be something, if you're gonna have it that way, something that's not dampens the sound for the person who's living there.
Yeah, and part of what Jim had convinced us is that this may be used as people coming in town, kind of mixed with their concert venue, having weddings, having a place for people to stay. So it may be some type of short-term rental, we don't know, but it's, yeah, I don't know if someone's gonna want to live near a lot of noise, but that's probably somebody's gonna be visiting that area specifically. Because he said it'd be nice to have places to stay for people who are coming in town and stuff. So I said, that sounds good.
So did you get adult feedback from us?
I've got feedback, yes. So I just want to clarify, is anybody against the addition? Not necessarily the way it looks. We've had numerous drawings between myself, and I'll have to take the blame for that drawing. I get a little cat happy when I'm drawing. He asked me a million times to remove all the chairs and tables, and I didn't. But my other friend who submitted, that's why I think this is not all the documents we submitted. Because
There's more.
there is more that Market type friend did. That it's fairly the same, but it has the vertical board and batten on it. But if the general idea is close, then we can modify.
As I said before, I think the mixed use idea is fine.
Yeah.
Right? I just think that this addition has gotten out of control. It just doesn't feel like it fits with the existing building or kind of fit the neighborhood.
So if we lowered it or got rid of the back patio, or could we do a 2-story addition? Because as I'm seeing some of the other submittals, some of the stuff doesn't seem like it matched up much either.
Well,
So I'm wondering how far off this is, because the entire front of the building is existing.
again, it's the notion that you're putting an addition on that doesn't have a roof, that has a rooftop patio that spans bigger than the footprint of the building, which makes it look awkward. So it's not, it just feels like it's 2 buildings being pushed together and they're not compatible. If you just did a 2-story addition, I mean, and put a roof on it, I think we'd be closer to something.
I mean, even if that patio was maybe even,
Well, that, I mean, just reducing the size of the patio.
yeah, just bringing it in a little bit so when you look at that side profile, you're looking straight down, it doesn't, appear off and just look like something, you know.
Yeah, our original plans for the house actually had a second story deck on it already approved by the city, so that's why we just modified this and
Yeah,
moved
that's
it.
why if you see the back elevation, the deck's already approved.
That's, yeah.
Can
Okay.
I, so knowing everything that's, you know, possibly coming to that street and, you know, the development that's coming on Walnut, and let's say someone, I know you're like, maybe it's an art gallery, but what if someone approaches you and they want to open up a bar? I mean, is that someone, would you build a house for that type of, you know, client that would come through?
Well, the build out would already be existing on the first floor, so whatever they build out on the first floor. But other than that, it would just be interior.
Okay.
It wouldn't be anything outside.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun street.
Yeah,
Yeah, we saw the vision. You were talked about the PDF that he had put together. Yeah, I have a copy of that if you guys want to include that for the rest of these coming through. It's,
Well, I think it was that board at that time, I think he was on the board at that time, we could make that presentation, was very supportive of that as an idea.
yeah, that's what he pitched it to us and we're like, all right.
But it's in the details, you know, at the end of the day, how that comes together.
so if we left this as residential, we don't have to come back in. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we're just still learning the process.
Yeah, we're still, yeah, we have approved plan, our plans are all approved and the deck, everything has been approved through the city, through inspections and all, so.
He changed and used creates quite a few.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, which is fine, we're learning, so.
And I don't think we have a problem with the concept. General, I just think it's just some little tweaking on that.
Very good.
Anyone else? Hope that helped you.
Yes, it does, thank you.
You,
I'll make sure to organize all the comments. I should have that to you by Friday.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you for all your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Planning on coming in for another conceptual or actions. The deadline is for applicants who have already made appearance in addition. So you have a week from this Friday to submit new materials for March.
Okay,
I'll make sure to have all these out.
got it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your help.
okay. Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 27th, 3 p.m. right here. With that, yes,
Can I just
you may.
add, so Bill and I had a conversation getting to the meeting about, to see, single hand houses in, yes, don't need to come before us.
Yes.
They don't just go together, please explain.
Yeah, the code section, two and single family or single and two family homes in East Franklinton. If they're just renovating, making changes, then they do not need to come in for a COA. If it's a new construction or if it's an addition, then they do have to come to the board. So I think that's why we didn't see this house originally, because it was a single family. They renovated it and they were planning to keep it as a single family, so no need to come and get a COA. But the change of use kind of changes things, kind of opens it up to board comments.
Yeah, which means we also don't have control of the materials.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's why it has vinyl siding.
Yeah.
And,
But if it comes back to us now, do we have any,
oh yeah,
we can come back and say, okay, well, we know that you put this vinyl siding on. But to, like, I mean,
yes.
is what the siding is, look, Tim's like, yes. Nobody's giving me the face of, there might be some things.
There may be some issues with that. I think you would have,
The pushback would long to be wrong just because of the cost of the change, but.
I think you would only be able to look at what's being proposed. So in this case, it would be the addition. Then you would be able to change the materials in the addition, not what's been previously done.
Gotcha.
Does that make
That's the existing condition
Yes.
at this point.
Gotcha. Kim's like, so I don't like that it matches the front, it doesn't match the front, so that's go ahead.
So my insurance is that if one side of my house gets damaged, they have to replace all of the siding to keep it consistent.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Same thing.
Tell my insurance company that my bar got damaged and they don't want do that.
No, mine's just
They don't want to do standing seam move.
So the other part of this is that, can we change that? The one in duplex, can we actually pull that into our agreement?
I don't believe so because I think if we did, it would be a long process to do that because it's in code, not in the plan. That's the difference. As far as materials go, I think that can be added.
So we can control the materials.
Yes, I believe so. Don't hold me to that 100%. I'm pretty good. I'm about 75 to 80% sure that's the case. But I think overall, in general, we've been talking a lot about materiality in East Franklinton. And if you are a single family homeowner or a two family homeowner, again, you could pretty essentially choose any kind of material you want and you wouldn't have to come in for a COA. I think that kind of goes against the original vision of the plan itself. So I think that is something that we would probably over this year kind of compile all of these weird things that sort of fall into outliers. And
So we would have an approved material that's,
Yes.
that's look at that drawing.
yes, and that would be the ultimate.
And vinyl siding.
Yes.
Ideally.
Ideally.
Or gray brick.
Grace B.
I know, I say that every time I see a gray building now, I think.
I know.
And I say, change that.
So hopefully that makes sense.
So I'm asking the rest of the board, is that something that we would like to take on to kind of start setting material expectations for everything?
I feel like it's that part of the plan, yeah.
I mean, if we can do it, I think.
Do we want to be exhaustive with the list?
Uh-huh.
We want to be, we want to get the best materials we can. Whatever that means. I don't know if that means.
So no duct tape,
We could also give
not approved side.
staff approval to these.
Yes.
So we give staff approval to that list, and so they can look at the materials of somebody's, and they go, well, that's a question. Then they can bring it back to the board for, hey, these people want to do this, but it's not on the approved list. How do you feel about that? That gives some flexibility
Their
without
process.
having to try to figure out everything up front. Or,
And the only thing in the plan, the plan, it mentions materials, but it says, I think it's even in quotes, high quality materials. So I guess going on so that, I think you could, come up with a more succinct.
Right.
Which is definitely different.
Don't they make luxury vinyl now?
Like, right?
That's that quality.
Luxury.
Oh, that's glory.
Thicker,
Well, anyway,
special colors.
My part of Franklinton, duct tape
this
is
is
a house inside.
I'm saying, I use it never how to solve things, but we obviously did the 70 standards, so it would be nice to do that.
And I think the neighborhood's changed a little bit. I think when the plan first started, we were trying to get things in the neighborhood. And
Right, without
the
the
things
things
to
to
be
be
there.
Yeah.
It needs to be a little more regulated, if you will.
Or at least hashed out to, here's some specifics.
Yeah. Agree.
Don't major brick.
So we have to disapprove to us.
That part.
Yeah.
So this is.
No vinyl.
It's
Don't break brick.
Do you really have to look up the color, Kim? I mean, couldn't you just already know that?
That was great. Okay.
Sitting over here thinking, really, we're looking this up?
Trying to be.
You can stop the recording.
I-
We can adjourn.
I'm trying here.